back to home again. This is a turret to put the 105 on the Andes tanks. Talk about full circle. Looks pretty cool though. See, at least they included the grab handles. To me, it never did. Back in the shop, and believe it or not, I'm on vacation. In the meantime, I'm still working on my Cabana Boy refit. The big change in the Tamiya tank to make it something more common is this engine swap. A brief example is the back of this tank has the radial engine deck. This is actually a Tamiya hull cut down to me an earlier version. But this is a scale Ford GAA engine. This came out of a Fields of Valor 16 scale die-cast toy. My early days of conversions was not just engines and engine parts, but actually DAC had a very brief foray into printing our own resin parts. DAC very briefly attempted to make and sell some resin parts to accommodate those who wish to turn the Tamiya Sherman into something a little bit more accurate. Now, my first foray started with the Fields of Valor, actually a metal turret. It actually had the correct rotor shield and the correct mantlet for a 75mm Sherman. So as you see, our first attempts at casting resin were basically to make 75mm accurate Sherman parts. Put that over there. We actually had some barrels turned, so our vehicles, you could get a relatively accurate 75mm Sherman. 75mm with full recoil. Part 2 of that was the actual exhausts from the Sherman. Now, this is from the FOV kit. I filled it in, cleaned it up, added some detail, and we cast them. And I will tell you, we tried. I even did a few little pieces of stowage. They're reasonable. So this is all that's left of the original DAC HQ parts. So for nostalgia, I'm gonna put those on the Sherman. This is the exhaust stacks for the Ford GAA, and that is the primary difference in the back of the two versions. I'm doing laps of these stores. I was just at the competition a minute ago trying to find a legacy can of paint. Oh well. Hey look, tubs are on sale. I always seem to need tubs. It's very common for these vehicles to be missing the reservoirs from the HVSS suspension. So these are always a hot commodity. They try to convince me to buy these fancy metal ones and solder them to the struts, but for now, this will do.
this resin hatch, nicely detailed as it is, unfortunately very weak. So when this part breaks, which is very common, you're kind of out of luck. So I was just going to pin it with this small little pin. But you know what? We're going to go back to the old school pipe method that I showed you before. So in this case, I got 2 lengths of tube. One goes inside, and it matches the width of the hatch right there. So I'm going to measure that. On the back of the turret of the T-23 tanks and earlier Shermans, they had prongs. Basically, people always ask what those prongs are, and they were intended to hold a spare barrel and be the stowage for the 50 caliber machine gun. So the Andes kit, as you see, comes with 2 very nice horns, and I'm going to use them to be a template to cut my own out of brass. I'm going to use this, and I've done many versions of this over the years, but right now I'm going to use some brass angle stock, and I'm going to try to make it fit, weld it in with some glue, and we'll see how that goes. More detail for the top of the turret. Andy's Hobby Headquarters Sherman to the rescue again. This is the sprue that contains their 50 cal, which looks fantastic, by the way. Rivals Tamiya very, very simply. Also, something that they included that's amazing was they include the spare barrel in the clips as if it would be up here. On the sprue that has the suspension parts, it also includes a 30 cal that was intended for the co-driver's position or the coax. So I am looking at it because I'd really like to do the one on the turret like most of the units in the 4th Armored had toward the end. I had one here before. It was a very simple Verlinden product, but it broke. So now I'm also looking at these for the Hellcat. Maybe I should put those in. More Tamiya 30 caliber cans. Using all this stuff up because every time I build a kit, I got lots of leftovers. Let's go for a ride. Oh, I'm back here at the mother load. I love this. This is one of my best side objects. This is a 48 scale Tamiyas. They usually have the most. Still can't find the M5. It's got a whole area just full of 16 scale accessories. These are the Sol accessories. Some of the stuff's amazing. Guys for the half tracks and probably the Greyhound. Half track rider, maybe a tank rider. Oh my gosh. 50 caliber ammo. Wheels and tracks for the Indies kit. Accessories for the M10. Uh-oh, that may come in handy for the Achilles. Hedgerow cutters. Uh-oh. Wrong scale. Dope. These guys look pretty good. Nice. Giving Value Gear a run for their money here. Uh-oh. You, sir, may be on my list. And those SAS guys. Full set for the Achilles. Wow. I just want those crazy British ammo cans that go on some of these vehicles. Giving me ideas. Okay, this may be the holy grail for some of us, pardon the pun. M50 conversion kit for 1/16 scale for the Andes Hobby headquarters. Easy-8 kit. That's gonna be interesting. That's a mid-production M50. You can see by the single storage bin. And it doesn't have the big boxes on the back or anything. Searchlight, smoke launchers. That's going to be cool. Now, for those of us who've scratch built this in our past, we don't take any offense. We actually like company. But once again, if you scratch build it, it will come. All right, I got my paint. It's time to head back to the ranch. Time for a little more detail painting. Picked up a few more of these AK colors today. You were with me for that. I'm gonna start with some flat black to do the gun, and then we'll parkerize it later with a little wash of gray. I also have this is their olive drab World War II number 9, number 22. This is a formulation that very closely resembles the mid-war tanker paint scheme. Fortunately, this 30 cal has got its own little paint stand. Round 2. Here comes the faded olive drab. Let's see if it's a good match for what I have on here already. Detail effort continues. I whipped up some gray and some other colors to do some detail painting. This is just making stuff match. One of the things I finally did was the parkerized finish. Now this is a very simple mix I did. It is a black color. I'm now I used some of the AK flat black. I actually mixed it with a color called British Light Mud, and it made a gray kind of that color. And it is now the barrel, the 30 cal, the bow gun, and I'm waiting for the 50 cal to dry. So that is the parkerized finish. A little darker than a gunship gray, not quite gunmetal. Later I may do an accent in gunmetal for the worn parts. Also, just a few more details. I used some of the sludge from that to make some of the fuel spills that come out of the weep holes around the fuel caps. And I used it as a base coat on the exhaust pipes. We'll get that later. Alright, more detail painting. Some of it's minute, so I don't film every second. Just trying to make it look like a typical late war battle-worn U.S. olive drab tank. Sometimes there are little off-camera jobs that I do and I'm not sure if it's going to work or not. In this one I was replacing the hatch. Now this one is a replacement hatch from Nick Aguilar that I've had for a long time. Several minutes of work later, I have a fair approximation of brush stripes. Now mine are a little tall, but not bad for eyeballing it. Alright, so here's my attempt at something I hadn't done before. I made the brush guard out of the paper clip and some solder. So it's not exactly perfect. Kind of matches that one, but in 20 years it's the first time I tried that. This was when I tried to do it with styrene years ago. I think that's an improvement. A little big. That's my hinge. As I was saying earlier, this is some work I did overnight because yeah, not everything is exciting. Plus, when I tried to film this earlier today, my phone overheated and then I ran out of storage. So last night I put in this Nick Aguilar resin hatch that I had left over. It came with one of the M36s, I'm sure. My hinge for my hatch was broken, so I fixed it with some plastic and drilled it out and repinned it so it works, so I can get to my hatch now. And I also put the grab handle on and this using a paper clip. So a few twists and turns aside, I have what will pass for a brush guard from 10 feet away. So a little side project I think I'm going to try. I got to lengthen my emitter for my main gun by about this much, because when you look inside my turret, you'll notice with the pigtail out, it pulls the emitter out of the strand. So I can either cut it and add wires, or I can try to do something inventive. So this is the 2-channel mixer that comes off of a normal Tamiya Sherman. The idea was the early ones used a 2-channel radio, you switch the functions. In my experience, it was just good because it gave you a working JST connector set, and it actually gave you the small Molex connector and a receiver. So if you actually open this guy up, so you can see that's basically a little relay setup. There's an in and an out. So if I wanted to, I could plug, I'm going to try something. I'm going to plug the emitter from the battle system into here. I've never used this in its traditional form. I think some of the early members of DAC, like Artie, did it once or twice. But then they realized any 4-channel radio would take over that functionality. So you see, I can use that just to extend the shot. When I say that Navy airplanes are my first true love, that is actually true. But here's my power bank. As you see, I use a 4-way charger with a grid surge protector in it. I have some older backup chargers if I need it, and I have my travel charger. I also charge my Dremel stuff over here. This is my power supply. That's not good. Unfortunate, my Christmas present has died. Yep. Dead lipos. Huh. And as usual in routine maintenance, you find things like that. Like that's my main charging plug. I like this one because it's relatively long. Here's another older one. And these clearly are my old junky soldering. So I'm going to use the old trusty Weller and fix it. This connection typically just, I don't know, it seems unsound, so I will re-solder it and hope for the best. But I need a key ingredient. Solder. Last time I cleaned, I put it away. A short editorial here. I'm in the garage, as I said, charging batteries in preparation for our big event. And this is where I tell you about my love-hate relationship of LiPo batteries. Over the years, I have tried to adapt, as has the hobby, to being mostly LiPo. But the fact that they just die, and they aren't revivable, and they have been fraught with peril, many of my tanks do have some LiPos because they fit. And over the years, I have tried many kinds. This is the last one. This is a G-Tech. I ran it once, and apparently it got low enough to the cutoff that it died. Fully peaked, fully balanced, ran 10 minutes in a small tank, and in the M113 actually, and it died. I tried to use these wolf packs, the racing quick plug ones, because I figured, you know what, if I wire it and just pull this in and out of a tank like my M48, it would be useful. Low voltage, won't charge. I've kept it stored at 40%. I did the pack, I did everything. And here's even a custom set. This was made custom. This is a lithium ion, so it charges just like a LiPo basically. Same thing, low voltage, dead cutoff. Now I don't know if it's clearly me, and in this situation I can't be taught. So I'm sticking with nickel metal hydride, because now you can get them for 20 bucks a pop. I don't need more than 3,300. You just buy two. I use mostly Sherman, so you can pop the lids on and off. It's actually a nice enough morning to do a little bit of tank prep outside before I go to work. Cabana Boy is on the table. I'm going to do a little field test right now. I think we talked about this once before. One of my secrets to these guys is sometimes I leave the inner caps off so I can do more work on them, because they're a little tough to get off. They're really on. So there's that. Inner bogey came off. It's a little tougher to fix. So in this case, they even took the bearing with it. You see, this one actually has the full bearings. So I'll put that back in. Now this time around, blue Loctite. Sometimes Tamiya tanks can go a little funny, and in this case, I'm trying to figure out why my Cabana Boy is just revving high. Now, my radio, all the trim pots are set to normal, so I'm going to do is a basic reset, see if that helps it. For those of you who don't know, hit the set button, puts it into the programming mode. On your radio, to each of your ports, only go about 80% in either direction. When it's done, hit the set button again. Tank will restart. Now's where you do a little bit of test. This just shows you that sometimes tank prep is a puzzle, because it works one day and then doesn't. You just need to spend a few minutes and figure it out. Pack this guy up. An apple up in the apple container. Tank radio. Now I'm gonna assemble all these parts I took off into a nice little tub and try to organize it. My wife got about 200 of these little bags at a garage sale lately. I've been using them to keep status on this. This was the maintenance log from the previous time. Tank is ready to rock. To the field.